if you've watched any of this trial, you've probably gathered there's a lot that the prosecution and myself don't agree on. But there is something that everyone here agrees on, and that's that the death of Vanessa Sullivan is an absolute tragedy. But it is an accident. It was not murder. It was simply an accident. Let's go through what happened that night. They're at the bar, and it comes time to leave. And the three kids, Taylor, Vanessa, and Danny, all go out to the car. At the urging of Vanessa, Danny Dawson decides to drive that car. And so he gets in the car and he starts driving. And he decides to take Canyon Road because it's the fastest way home. Unfortunately, Canyon Road's a dangerous road. It's dark. There's only one light on the road. It was coming from a hill up and to the left. But even more, there's a torrential downpour. And as he's going down Canyon Road, something jumps out in front of him. He swerves out of the way, and he manages to keep control of the car for 124 feet as they follow the curve. And then finally he succeeds and he gets back on the road. Unfortunately, there's nothing more that he can do because his car was hydroplaning. The tires and the cement were no longer touching, and it simply just spun and slid, and whatever happened then was up to fate. And then it hits the tree and the utility pole, and Vanessa Sullivan dies. So then let's go back to the beginning, and let's look at this step by step. First of all, they're at the bar. Vanessa Sullivan urges Danny Dawson to drink. He does because he said he's fine. You heard Taylor Hobson say that Vanessa thought he was fine. And so he decides to drive. And even more than that, he decides to take a back road home for Vanessa, trying to get her home faster. Unfortunately, on this back road, a deer jumps out, or any animal, even if it is a rabbit. But something jumps out, and he has a choice. Face a certain accident and go straight, or try to save whatever animal it was and swerve out of the way. And he swerves out of the way. And then as he manages to keep the curve for 124 feet, the prosecution's talking a lot about control. He kept control of a vehicle for 124 feet in the rain on the grass. And he manages to keep control, and then he succeeds, gets back on, and he loses control. The same control that the prosecution keeps talking about. Nobody had control. It was, the rain is what was in control. And then he goes and he hits the tree that shouldn't have been there. And he goes past where the guardrail should have been. The prosecution today is trying to charge Danny Dawson with murder. In part of this, they have to prove that he's been extremely reckless. And what that means is that Danny Dawson's actions were a gross deviation from what any law-abiding person would do. Where in this would a law-abiding person differ from Danny Dawson? Would they have hit the animal? Would they have told the birthday girl no? Would they have magically gained control of a hydroplaning car? Nowhere did he grossly deviate from what a law-abiding person would do. They're also trying to charge him with driving under the influence. So let's look at what we have for driving under the influence. They provided an expert witness, and they gave us a breath alcohol concentration reading. But per that expert's own testimony, he's not a doctor. He's not an expert in acid reflux, which he even said does affect the test. He also heard from another person who was a doctor, And this person said, yes, I believe Danny Dawson had acid reflux. We don't know what his BAC was. If acid reflux affects the test, and one person doesn't know, and one person does know and says that there is, the test must be wrong. But even further, we've heard several people say that Danny Dawson was, is, and seemed fine to drive. By charging Danny Dawson with murder, they are saying that what he did was no better than if he were to sit in a room and plan to kill Vanessa Sullivan and then shoot her in the head. Now, it's not the same, but they're saying that it's of the same caliber. That isn't what happened here. What happened here was simply a tragedy, an accident. It was certainly not a murder. Find Danny Dawson not guilty on all counts.